Here is the AAR for the pirate software ban from the Only Fangs WoW Hardcore Guild. Essentially what happened is 5 party members went in to do a dungeon, I believe it's called. I'm not too familiar with WoW specifically, but in hardcore, if your character dies, you're done. You have to start all over. And so that's 300 plus hours. So essentially it goes wrong and someone just ran away because that's what it was called. There's a huge misconception and 2 people ended up losing their characters. So there was a lot of drama, a lot of pointing fingers, a lot of opinions. And so essentially I have 3 key takeaways from this event, right? It's the communication is bad, leadership versus the experience, and then damage control at the end of all things, right? So we're going to talk a lot about it. There's some points up there if you're interested in where this is going to go. But if you don't know what an AAR is, it's an after action review. Basically, this is just a learning opportunity. There's no blame or hate. And this is an outside perspective of everything. I really don't know WoW that much. So I don't know the ins and outs of it. So normally someone of the event would do this, especially like it would be like Pirate Software, any of the guild members, or maybe even Tyler One or Soda Poppin'. But I figured so much drama and so much opinions are in this situation. I feel like this might be a good time to have someone from the outside actually go in and give their 2 cents of what probably could do it. So if you want context, I watch all the drama. I'm very much caught up in what's going on. I might not be the best at the terminology or the game mechanics, but at the end of the day, this isn't a what could they have done better in terms of WoW. This is what you could do better as a team, as a guild. That's kind of what I'm focused on. I am a coach for sports. I'm an engineer leader. So both of these I constantly do stuff like this for athletes as well as people trying to perform to make a company money. And I think that at the end of this day, all these content streamers, like this is their business. This isn't a game, right? So that's why there's so much tension. I feel like some maybe younger viewers don't really understand that those 2 people who just lost their characters could have just lost significant income, right? Because I'm sure not everyone is $1 million deep every paycheck, right? These people are probably trying to make 6 figures, and so losing those characters, you just lost a huge payday that will relieve a lot of stress on paying bills, right? But I don't know the people. I'm just assuming. I'm not going to look into it. Once again, it doesn't really matter. What matters is how we could improve upon this coming into the future. I don't think anyone's really have talked about it that much. People are trying to set standards. So let's actually go in and start talking about the first thing, which is the communication was horrible. It was dog shit. Like, to be honest with you, looking at the clips, it made 2 dungeon runs. And honestly, the only thing I can say is when you're in this like hardcore gameplay, like if you're friends, that's cool, right? But you really should be focusing on the game. Right. And I already brought up some of these points, but if you're not feeling good about it, if you're confused, if you really don't know what's going on, then say something, right? Like if you're leading everyone and you're just guessing, say that. If you are the leader or the shot caller, like whatever you want to identify your as, then say something if you don't know what they're doing. If you're an experienced player, you've never done something like this before, then say something, right? Like I think everyone's at fault in terms of communication because yes, someone's rambling about something else. Yes, no one said anything. Yes, people are just doing random shit and no one is saying anything. People are making mistakes and no one's saying anything, right? I think if you did one run and you backed off, like move on, there's no issue. But I think the bigger issue is they went in again and kind of did all the same mistakes twice, and then they want to talk about it afterwards. Like, that's so ridiculous. If you're going to do a second run, then say what you need to do better at, right? Like, it's just stupid. It's like, oh, that was a near-death experience. Let's run it back, right? No one or two people lost their characters, not blaming those two. It's really a party fault, right? And if you know in that moment, then you are especially at fault for this, in my opinion, right? Not putting blame on anyone, but, you know, the communication needs to be better. Define the meaning of words. This is just coming in from the whole debate from like whatever side you're on. It seems as if there are two different opinions, and I don't really care too much about like the whole Roach situation, right? Because he left his party to die and he's a Roach for that. Okay, sure, but once again, the guy who's calling shots said run. The issue is, what does that mean? Does that mean, hey, everyone for themselves, get out, save your character? Or is it, hey, okay, we need to get out, help everyone to get out, right? And I think the bigger problem with this debate and why it's so issued is because you have like this community style and definition of run where you don't, like, basically like the whole roach situation, right? You don't want to be a roach, so run changed into something different. And then there's the same thing with like Tyler 1, where Tyler 1's like, hey, it's your time versus their time. Basically like make your best decisions, right? If you lose your character, it's your time, not theirs. So I don't think it's anyone's fault. I don't think it's a community fault. I think it's just define it, right? If you say run and that means, hey, help everyone get out, then just define that, right? And I think you can either do it as a individual party, you can do it as a guild, or you can do it as a community, like whatever it is, like just define it, and everyone just has to agree to it. If you don't agree to it, then like don't go in a party with each other or a guild, I guess, right? And you really have to do this with any keywords, right? When you're in high tense situations like Tyler 1, really empathize it, like really put a hard focus on. I struggled to say that one word. Is when situations start to getting really nervous and you just say one word and it defines whether or not you're going to spend the next couple months trying to build another character, right? It's best just to say like, hey, in this moment, if I say this, we do it, okay? Right? Because, for example, when the healer died, the guy was just yelling heal at that person. They went and healed, and I'm pretty sure that that person probably died because of doing that, right? They turned around, they healed, and they couldn't get out, right? And so if you're defining like heal means like just do the best you can to heal them, or if you're saying heal, that means do everything you can to heal them, even at the cost of your life, right? You need to define that, right? And then the last one is no one knows each other. Say what you expect. Completely reading off this slide here because I feel like that's pretty much as explicit as I can say it, right? Is from what I gathered, this party doesn't really do a lot with each other. And so there's a lot of expectations and people have this general knowledge of what the other people do, right? People think they know what it is and they're like, just do this, right? Well, listen, if you don't really know this person, before you even go, you really should talk about, hey, what's your play style? Right. And if you're a new party, I think it's even more important that it's like, hey, we don't know each other. Let's not risk it all for each other. Let's really start small and be safe. So let's go in till we make a mistake, come back out, talk about it, learn from it, go back in. Right. Instead of spending like numerous hours fighting over who did something wrong, let's just have one person make a critical mistake, everyone back out, talk about what was wrong and what they need to improve on, and go back in. And I think that was the really key mistake, was everyone just looking over the mistakes, didn't want to communicate it, and just said, yeah, let's just keep going, right? We'll make it work, right? And even looking at Tyler 1's perspective, he was just constantly yelling, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Like, do this, do that. And so at the end of the day, right, yeah, everyone had an issue, but I think the overlining problem is no one was communicating the issues. They were just holding it in to be mad about it later, which is just kind of childish in my opinion. Leadership. So I on the right side, I kind of define two roles. I could define leader and veteran. If you're not in these roles, then you are just a player, you're just an athlete, like whatever you want to define it. Right? Like you don't have any of these responsibilities. You are playing your character and how to play your character, right? So if you're a healer, you're healing. If you're a tank, you're tanking, right? Like you just have to worry about what you have to do. If you are a leader, you're responsible for everything, making the team, making the plan, shot calling, and all the responsibilities that come afterwards. However, if you're a veteran, you're responsible for the plan just as much as the leader is, because if you hear it and you don't like it, you got to say something. And then you're responsible for what happens afterwards because you know what you're doing. You know better than that, right? So for the leader, if you're making a team, vibes, chemistry, and goals all have to be kind of aligned, right? I think everyone said the second run back to that run did not feel good, right? The vibes were off, right? The chemistry isn't really good. I think as a leader, you just have to like say it, make the hard decision of maybe we shouldn't do this, right? And I think goals is important because I just put this up just as like a general, not really a big thing for this event. I'm not really looking into too much, but I think goals is important because if someone's heart isn't in what you're doing, then they probably shouldn't be on the team, right? So like if Pirate Software isn't really trying, is not aligned on this mission, like he doesn't need to do it, he's just doing it to be a good guy, then you really should double consider, like, should he be here, right? Because at the end of the day, right, someone who cares is going to do a lot better than someone who's just doing a favor, right? Making a plan. If you really should, before you go in, you should really say like what you're going to do or talk over just general topics, right? Especially if someone else is leading that isn't the leader, someone should be saying something before they go in. Like, hey, I'm going to go this. I'm going to go straight through the middle. And if someone goes, no, that's not good, or if the tank or the leader, whoever's like leading the pack doesn't know what's going on, then someone should say something, including the veterans. Like the veterans have done this before. They've done stuff similar and they've had success and they're doing something different. Then bring it up. There's no reason why you shouldn't be talking. You shouldn't have a voice. Like it's just childish to sit there and just take the punishment of someone else's like bad actions if you know better. Like if you guys are all in this together to do something, then have everyone be successful, not just yourself, right? And then there's shot calling. This is fully the leader. I don't really expect every veteran to be a shot caller, right? So the leader really has to be like, hey, what are the call signs? What am I going to say? And what does that mean? You have to be very clear on what you're doing. So in the video, what I thought was really bad was you call run and then that's it. And then you're expecting everyone to like help each other get out, right? To me, no matter what, run, everyone kind of interpret it differently. That's fine. But if you're like, okay, let's run and try to get everyone out, right? It's not that hard to have that clear communication because as soon as you turn around and you're fighting, you should be communicating like, wait, I think we can do something. I think we got it. Because at the end of the day, the guy's a mage, right? He doesn't need to be up and close and personal. But as the sooner you can communicate to the pirate software that, hey, actually, I think we can try to get them both out, help us out with something. Like, do you have anything? And then Pirate can then follow up with whatever he has to say, right? It doesn't matter what he says. This isn't in the moment he said this. That doesn't matter right now. This is just, hey, he said run, and then he's like, the leader said run, and then a couple seconds later he goes, wait, why are you running? Why are you walking away, bro? Like he's fighting. Everyone took run differently, and so if he didn't realize that in that moment, or if he did realize in that moment, he should be speaking like, wait, I think we can actually do something here. And then what's more important is who has final say, right? If you say run, and then all hands are off, like everyone man for himself, then there you go. You can't be mad, right? But if you say, hey, like I'm the leader, I have final say. If I say die, everyone's going to die, right? Like if he says that, if everyone agrees to that, then there you go, right? I don't know too many parties that will actually agree to something as crazy as that. But I think that if one person, like the rogue, is just shot calling and everyone agrees like whatever you say will do, then you have to do that or else you just look bad, right? And I think that's a bannable offense, right? If you agree that someone's going to make the decisions, then you got to follow those decisions. Lastly, the responsibility after the fact, right? The actions, the feedback, and the results. I think the leader and the veterans are responsible for this, whether you like it or not. Like this is the same thing for sports, it's the same thing in business, that if you're on a team and things go south, then not just the leader is responsible, so is the veteran, right? Because you're responsible for your actions, right? So Pirate Software, experienced player, he ran out while two people died, and there's a lot of stuff that he could have done to help. Yeah, clearly like he misplayed, and people are really attacking like the character and what he should have done. But you're responsible for your actions of like, you could have done something. You probably realize you could have done something. You could do something more. You could just throw some stuff out there, right? Like that's at the end of the day, that's what really matters is what are you doing? If you choose to do nothing, that's a problem. And the same thing with the leader, right? You're responsible for your actions. Like if you call run and you think that's a bad call, then say that, right? You're responsible for what you're saying. Don't be mad that someone followed what you said. Be mad that you should have been clearer and say, hey, respectfully, that's my bad, but I tried to bring you back, right? Like being mad, being frustrated is definitely understandable in high intense situations where, you're responsible for someone else's death. But at the end of the day, you can't give and take feedback, right? That's the second point is you're responsible for taking and giving feedback, right? So if you're a douchebag about the feedback you're giving to someone else, then what are you doing? Like, are you really a good leader? Right? You have to be understanding, you have to be level headed. If you can't, then just exit the situation and come back later or seek help, right? Maybe you need help from other experienced leaders to look over the situation and be like, I'm getting too heated. Like, what could have happened? What should I say? How could we have done this better? That's always what you should do. And same thing with pirate software is if you're getting too heated, like if the conversation is too hot, just be like, hey, I don't feel comfortable. Like, I think we should bring other people into this. Like, it's too hot, it's too heavy, and I think you're just talking over me. It's not good, right? Just that's the whole responsibility of what you guys are doing as leaders and veterans. Like, you're leading by the example, and currently it's what I saw was just it's okay to be frustrated and just tune people out, which is not okay. And then lastly, the results, right? Like, those two people's death is on the leader and the veteran. And honestly, like the ban from the veteran for those two deaths is not valid, right? Like, I think everyone agrees it's the actions that he did afterwards. And so those two tests happened because the party failed, right? And I think everyone agrees, but the responsibility for that is on Pirate Software as well as the guy that was shot calling that situation. I don't remember the guy's name. I don't want to guess what his name is, so that's why I'm just referring to him as leader. But yeah, that's what I have for the leadership section. I know that I might have a firm stance. I'm trying to play the middle, trying to be fair to both sides, because honestly, after the fact, everyone had a lot to work on. And I think there needs to be a better defined situation and role responsibility, especially at the highest level, so everyone can have a clear responsibility. Now, the last one's management. And this is kind of goes towards like Soda Papa and Tile 1 like people. And the 3 points that I think they need to work on is situation management, the key learning, and the responsibility, right? I think responsibility is always going to be the big thing. And so first off is the situation control, right? Every manager type person in this guild is responsible for this. I think this thing got way out of hand like a wildfire, right? There's a lot of dramas, there's a lot of fan hate. And I think you can't stop it. You can't prevent it from ever happening, but you can respond to it accordingly. What I've seen is that the whole guild needs to waterfall this situation control, because when Pirate Software is getting death threats continuously and like swatted possibly, then that's an issue for every single person, right? Like, everyone in this guild is streamers and this is their business. This is what they do. Like, I'm sure everyone could relate to the stress and fear of that kind of crap. So at the end of the day, these people need to like band together and try to stop that, because what if you were on the receiving end of that? Because at the end of the day, what this guy did was he just did something in a video game, and now like you having police break into his house thinking that he's a threat to society. You have people sending him constant death threats, right? It's just ridiculous, right? It's not okay. So I definitely push this on the chief and the leaders, like just seeing how much it is to the point where it's a big point. Even hate rating, right? Like, if you can't prevent it, but you can definitely just say like, hey, if you ever do this again, this point forward, then you are not going to be in this guild, right? You're going to be kicked. I think that's okay. And there's people outside of this guild doing that crap. Then yeah, I think the guild needs to use their influence, like whoever has the influence, to stop this crap. If you're not online on that, then I think that's a bigger issue for these people to tackle. The key learning, basically it's just the direction, right? Like, what the fuck are you guys going to be doing moving forward? I don't know if it's really that clear what everyone should take away from this, right? I think the drama overtook it, and all the tea is what really everyone's taking away from it. I don't think people are really gaining anything from this situation. That's kind of why I decided to make an AAR about this event, because I don't think anyone's taking anything away. Everyone's just talking about what happened, but no one is actually saying like, hey, moving forward, this is what we're going to do. That's kind of why I wanted to do this AAR. And then lastly, it's a responsibility of the chief to really manage the guild and manage these people's jobs, right? Because when they are putting this much level of commitment, not only to the game, but to the guild, right? you have to feel this kind of responsibility for these people's future, right? 2 people died and they're losing out a lot of money. At the end of the day, that might not be the guild's choice, like guild's responsibility, but the second time it happens, it very well could be. And so they have to set it straight, right? I think Soda Poppin made the right decision in terms of a responsibility standpoint to keep the guild like in control and kicked out Pirate Software, because at the end of the day, it's one versus a lot. And so to make this business functional, yeah, you have to choose the lot for everyone's sake. Like, it sucks, but that's just how it is. Like, just objectively speaking, like leaving all the drama crap out the door, like objectively speaking, that was the right decision, right? Tyler One didn't make it. He stand by his values. And unfortunately, in situations like this, I feel like you can't stand by them completely when there's so much unrest. You either solve the unrest or you appease the people, right? That's what's running a business at this level, right? It's not just a League of Legends 5-on-5 team. It is a, like, I don't know how many people it is, like 50 to 60 or something. That's a lot of people relying on this to make money. So I think Soda Poppin did the right thing. I think Tile 1 is kind of learning the hard way in this situation, what it means to be a big boy leader like this. But yeah, that's pretty much the AAR. And so I'm just going to go back to like the 3 key takeaways from this situation, just to kind of recap. And it's the communication is bad, right? The in-game talking has to be about what you're actually doing, not about other bullshit, especially when, you know, you're having multiple months and a lot of money on the line, right? If that's what's going on, then just someone say, shut the fuck up. Let's focus on the game so we don't die. I think that's completely reasonable. I don't think you should get butthurt. If you do, then don't be in the party. That's fine, right? Go do vanilla stuff or something. I don't care. But at the end of the day, someone needs to speak up and someone needs to focus, right? Define what the hell words mean, right? If you're going to be in high intense situations and you're going to rely on certain words to make key decisions, then make sure everyone understands in length what those mean, right? If run means help everyone get out, then define that in some way before you go into any dungeon, right? And then roles, right? You can't be mad at the wizard feeling scared for other people, like not protecting them, right? Like, that's kind of the outlook I have in a very general sense, not looking too deep in the situation, right? Like when I play Marvel Rivals and my tank is constantly running behind me, how am I supposed to constantly be able to do damage if you're constantly putting me in the line of fire, right? And then if you're a rogue and you don't know what to do or you're struggling to do stuff, right? You need to define what you're doing. Same thing with tanks. Like, hey, I need you to do this. And if someone says, hey, you can't see that boss, then clearly say that, right? And then you can help define better roles. Like, hey, maybe damage should focus tanks, or right? Like, whatever it is, that's what needs to happen. Leadership versus experience. Like, whether you're a shot caller and you're building the team, you have, whether you're a shot caller, veteran, leader, whatever the fuck you want to call it, actually. If you're building the team, right, make sure things are good and make those hard decisions, right? If you're just here to play the game, then you're not a leader, and that's totally fine. But if you are someone who's trying to make this work, then you sometimes have to make these uncomfortable situations, like uncomfortable decisions. So just remember that. And if you're a veteran, I feel like a lot of uncommunicated or unwritten responsibility is onto you. You know what you're doing. You've done this before. So if new people aren't doing it right, you got to say something, right? And if you're not getting what you need to do what you need to do, then you say that, right? Let's not be children about it, right? If I'm on a football team and the receiver is not running fast enough, the QB is going to say something. The coach will say something, right? And in this situation, someone has to step up. And if you're making the decisions, it should be you, right? Because if you're like, Mage, why aren't you helping us that much? And Mage is like, I don't got mana, then you can't be that mad. Then you need to make a decision based on that information. However, if the mage is like, guys, I can't deal damage, you guys aren't helping me here, then it's like, what can we do for you, right? Just communicate, right? It's not being petty. It's just trying to make sure everyone succeeds with minimal damage. Now, damage control in terms of war chief and guild mates. This is the third takeaway. This is all about the management of the whole situation going on. I think Tyler 1, is doing what he does. He's getting involved and he has to do what he has to do. But at the end of the day, I think too much hate and crazy shit happen to Pirate Software that you can call it cancel culture, you can do it whatever, but at the end of the day, these are your viewers, like streamers viewers at the end of the day. So if you're just going to let your community do this, that's wild, and you should really fix that, right? And set a precedent, because at the end of the day, is that really what the internet community should be? Because I've seen plenty of videos where they've clearly defined, like, whatever you let your chat be is what your chat is, right? And I don't blame people banning or timing out other people that are trying to spread hate and being kind of ridiculous, in my opinion. Like, there's being constructive and there's just being hateful. And I think it starts at the very top, unfortunately, right? Like, Tyler One and Soapalm have to get involved, and they have to set precedent first out. Because I feel like everything is in chaos and everyone has different perspectives. And yeah, egos are at play, but at the end of the day, who has the control to kick everyone is the person that really has the final say and has the control to set the precedent. So those are the three key takeaways. Let me know if you guys like this kind of review after all these drama situations, or how I can improve. Give me your thoughts on the situation below. I think everyone's trying to move forward, but I think this is just how, in general, people can play WoW in this guild of hardcore more effectively after this event. That's all I gotta say. Peace.